70% of high school dropouts did not have a father in their home, and 60% of youth who commit suicide did not have a father in their home. And I think if you look at other bad indicators, I think you would see a correlation with the lack of fathers present in the home as well. You know, it should be obvious that this is something that's very important. I mean, I can just tell you it's something that is incredibly important to me. I mean, I've got two of mine here. Madison's 5, Mamie's 2. We've also got a middle child, our son Mason. And my wife and I, this is our #1 priority, but just particularly as a father, it's something that I feel blessed to be able to do it. And it's something that I work very hard at. You know, people will sometimes ask me, man, you know, when do you get a time to rest? I see you all over the state doing all this great stuff. You need to go home and rest. And I just tell them, I do not rest when I'm at home, okay? I'm working and we're doing, but you know, it is something that's very rewarding, and it's something that we want to stand up. It's something that we, that I think everybody, you get a lot of fulfillment, but it's just the right thing to do. You have responsibilities for your kids, and you need to be present, and you need to be there offering a supportive role. Now, there's some who say that this is not that important. There was actually an article, a column in the New York Times that said, it was titled, "The Nuclear Family Was a Mistake." And you have other people that kind of poo-poo the idea of father. I just want to be sure in Florida, we are not going to be following this propaganda. We're going to put programs in place that support fathers and help families stay connected and engaged with each other. And that's why we're here today. I'll be signing HB 765, which helps support 7065, which helps support fathers and encourage their active participation in their children's lives. And we had a great legislative leaders bring this across the finish line, including Speaker Sprowls, so we want to thank them. But they also, not only are there good initiatives, this comes with funding that will help make those initiatives effective. So this bill is tied to $70 million in funding to provide a wide array of family and youth support through our Department of Children and Families, as well as our Department of Juvenile Justice, and they will be working very closely to support fatherhood throughout our state. At Department of Children and Family, this bill is going to create a statewide awareness campaign to call attention to the importance of responsible fatherhood and to equip fathers with resources to stay engaged in their children's lives. This will also provide funding, grant opportunities for nonprofit organizations such as Coach Dungy's All Pro Dads organization that use evidence-based parenting education to help fathers stay engaged and to connect with their children. The bill also will support case managers who will help fathers find employment, transition from incarceration, and to better manage their obligations. The bill also supports and creates mentorship programs at the Department of Juvenile Justice for at-risk youth. And through many of their existing programs, DJJ helps young men develop social, emotional life skills that will prepare them for future success. But this bill takes those programs to the next level by increasing mentorship opportunities for at-risk youth. For many of these youth, their mentor may be the only father figure that they have. So I look forward to seeing both Secretary Siobhan Harris as well as Secretary Hall make the most of these programs as they launch over the coming months. And so we're proud to do it. What we're going to do is, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to get the cooperation, so we're going to do the bill signing, and then we're going to hear from a number of our great guests today. So, Mamie, you want to help? Come on. You can hand me the pens? You guys crowd around. Mamie. Come on, baby. Come here. Come sit with Dad. Come sit with Dad. Help me out. All right. Y'all get ready. Come get ready. I'm done, but I'm... Anyone else? Chris, speaker. Hand it to the speaker. Okay, hand it to the speaker. Hand it to the speaker. Okay, one more. Coach Dungy. All right, very good. Good job, guys.
Hey, clap. Clap it away.
All right, now let's hear from our great speaker.
Hey, all right. Hey, your kids got some good comments.
Okay. All right, so we're going to first hear from our Speaker of the House, who not only has worked hard in this realm, particularly working with nonprofit groups like Coach Dungy's, but also really putting his money where his mouth is, not only on this, but also promoting adoption and foster care throughout our child welfare system. Speaker of the House, Chris Sprowls.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. I thought about, it's so great to have your two beautiful little girls here. I thought about bringing my two boys. They're 5 and 6, but my wife said the chance of a headlock mid press conference was pretty high, so we didn't do that. But it's really great to be with you here today. What a special day. The governor's done so many bill signings. We've had the opportunity as legislators to do so much great work over the past 2 years. I can tell you, for me personally, none of them have been quite like this. Not that they haven't been big deals, not that they're not going to make Florida a different place 25 or 30 years from now, but there is nothing more important than the future of our children. And we can help them when they're adults get a job, and we can help them when they're in the university get the right kind of education, or when they're in K-12 to make sure the curriculum is the right one. But the reality is, if you started life behind, it's hard. It's hard. The governor and I and so many people here were so blessed to have, two parents who believed in us, who believed that we could accomplish anything. But there's so many children who will go to bed tonight with an absent father, wondering where their father is, or why they weren't at their baseball game, or why they weren't engaged in their life. And as the governor said, if you look at every social study there is on this topic, whether it is suicide rates, or depression, or dropping out of school, everything that you can think of, mass incarceration, one of the greatest common factors that unites those people is an absent father in their life and an absent father in their home. In 2019, when I was designated as the next Speaker of the House, I talked about this issue in my designation speech and said that we were going to tackle it. At the time, I didn't know how that was going to happen. I didn't know how that was going to happen, but I knew that we had people, those standing behind us, Governor DeSantis, folks like Representative Thad Altman, Senator Bean, who put their minds to work to figure out what would be the best way and the greatest way for Florida to be the leader in the nation in tackling the fatherlessness crisis that plagues our communities, and they found a way. And the best way that we can do that is by lifting up organizations inside of our community who are doing this great work. Just a few of them that are here today, All Pro Dad with Coach Dungy, Mark Merrill. They have community groups inside your K-12 high schools. They host breakfasts and derby car races and anything that they can to engage fathers in the lives of their children. But the most important thing they do is they have this moment where they have the dad put their, or the male role model, put their arm on the shoulder of a child and say, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you that you're working hard in math. I'm proud of that you tried hard at baseball. There's something that you did this week that I think is meaningful, and I'm going to speak into you. There's organizations like Man Up and Go. Jason Clement, who's one of the founders, is here today, who are lifting up dads and male role models in communities. Not everybody's going to have the opportunity to have their dad engaged in their life, but they might have an opportunity to have a stepdad or foster parent or adopted father or a male role model in their community or a local business owner who can lift them up. And that's the work that folks like Man Up and Go are doing. Jack Brewer's here with his foundation, and Jack has been probably one of the leaders in the nation, along with Coach Dungy, of using their talent and their fame to lift up fathers and to lift up this crisis throughout the country. This bill will pour $75 million a year into organizations like the ones behind us who are doing the great work of connecting fathers, equipping them with the tools to help raise their children. Senator Bean, Representative Altman, and the members of the legislature who worked on this bill, this is the kind of thing that is going to change the lives of children throughout the state of Florida for generations to come. Governor, thank you for being a leader on this issue. Thank you for your passion for this issue. And thank you all for being here today.
Well, thanks, Speaker. And I would note, too, they did this, they did some other stuff, did a big tax package, which we'll talk a little bit about more in the ensuing weeks. But one of the things they did in the tax package, and this was not my idea, but I think it's a good idea, is starting July 1st, no tax on diapers. And so you saw I got 2 out of diapers, but I've got 1 in diapers. And, you know, when inflation hits, you can't just stop doing diapers. It's kind of something you just have to do. And so, so that's going to actually help a lot of families who have really young kids help to deal with really inflation that we've not seen in the past 4 decades. I want to, in a minute, bring up Coach Dungy. You know, when I became governor, first time we did the budget, there was some money in there, not like an earth-shattering amount, but there was money in there for some of the things that All Pro Dads is doing. And, you know, a lot of times when I look, some of these private organizations, you know, how much we should be funding or not, it's a question about whether that's appropriate, then what are they going to do with the money, all this other stuff. So there is definitely a high bar. It's not like we've never done it, but a lot of times we say, hey, that may be a good cause, but probably not appropriate to just have the state, you know, giving money in that regard. But on this one, I'm looking and I'm saying this is exactly what we need to be doing. And although we have different types of state agencies, at the end of the day, an organization like this is going to be much better suited to be able to actually get into these communities and make a big difference. And so, so I think he called me. He's like, "Hey, I'd love you to do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. We're good. It's important." And I really appreciate the job that he's done in doing this. I mean, obviously he could be doing a lot of other things, and but he's got a passion for this. And I think that when you're somebody who's doing the Lord's work, we need to be supporting that. And so I'm proud to be able to introduce today Coach Tony Dungy.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Speaker Sprowls. Thank you for this bill, first of all. This is going to be tremendous and be such a big help to fathers in Florida, agencies that support fathers in Florida. But I want to thank you for your example, bringing his girls out here today. It just reminds me, because this is kind of my field, and I used to bring my kids out here to work. And it was something that was important, so they could see where Dad is, be where Dad is. And my good friend Clyde Christensen is over there, and he can remember a story. Our first game in Jacksonville in 2002, my son Eric was 10 years old, and he came with me. They had a rule that you had to be 18 to be on the field. And so the security man came and said, "You're going to have to take that young man off the field." And I said, "Boy, that'd be a shame that we don't have a game today, because if he goes, the rest of the team is going." And the security guy looked at Clyde and said, "He's not serious, is he?" And Clyde said, "Yeah, I'm afraid he's pretty serious. So if you want to have a game, you better let his son stay out here." That's an example. That's how important fatherhood is to me. I think the governor just demonstrating that today is awesome. I knew it was important. I had a dad who was around me all the time and supported me, and I thought everyone was like that. I got to my job in the National Football League, started interviewing our players, and I began to understand not everyone had that same blessing that I had. It really got driven home to me my first year here in Tampa when I got the job. Legendary man here by the name of Abe Brown. Many of you here know the name Abe Brown. He had a prison ministry. He wanted me to go with him, and I went on the first trip expecting to see grizzled, hard, tough, older guys. And what I met were 19 and 20 and 21-year-old kids that looked like my boys. And I remember driving home from that trip and asking Reverend Brown, how do those young boys get here? And he told me, it's not socioeconomic, it's not racial, it's not education, it's none of that. 95% of these boys did not grow up with their dad. And that hit me. That hit me very hard. And shortly after that, we were able to start All Pro Dad and really try to do what we could do to help. But I'll tell you what happened today, and this bill got one young man there that he's going to be okay. That's a good sign, yeah.
Locked his knees up a little bit when he's standing there.
But it is just so important, and I just want to thank all of these men and women behind me, everybody who's been behind this, because it's going to allow groups like ours, people like you, to do great things for our fathers here in Florida. So thank you very much.
Okay, Jack Brewer, former NFL player, Jack Brewer Foundation.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Governor, Speaker Sproles, my brother, Tony Dungy, the man who I think all of us who had the opportunity to play in the NFL, he's like a father to us, whether we get to see him or not. I have to tell you, I'm pretty emotional right now, looking at my boys. Come over here, boys. Some of these boys don't live with their fathers in their house. I was just at a juvenile facility in the Everglades about 2 weeks ago. I walk in that facility and see these boys with no shoes that can fit their feet. I look them all in their eye and I ask them, how many of you, there's 80 of them in there, how many of you were raised with your father? And only 5 raised their hand. I was in a prison in Moorhaven yesterday ministering to about 1,000 men in the penitentiary. And I asked them how many of them had their father in their lives, and I think we're almost at 90% fatherless. This is the crisis of America today. This is the civil rights movement of our time. And Governor DeSantis, you've just done something that the entire country needs to follow. You know, I drove all the way here. We left at 5 in the morning. I was at a prison until 7:30 yesterday evening. I drove 4 hours here. I got my suit in the bag because I didn't make it in time to put it on. But when I got up here, I said, you know what? I'm a dad. I'm a coach. I'm a father to these boys. I look like a father right now, right? I don't want no tie on right now. Do I have a tie when I'm coaching you? All it takes is what?
All you got.
All it takes is what?
All you got.
All it takes is what?
All you got.
What's 1 Timothy 4:12?
Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, love, faith, and in purity.
We can do this. Give them a round of applause. With bills like this and leaders like the men behind me, we can change this nation. Many talk about unity, but they're not willing to have the courage to go the extra mile, to be the voice of the voiceless. You know, the last verse in the Old Testament says that he will turn the hearts of the father to the children and the hearts of the children to the father. He left that message to us all because this is the answer. 71% of our kids that drop out of high school are fatherless. Over 90% of our kids that are homeless, teenagers, are fatherless. When we talk about mental health, our mental health issues are coming because we have fatherless children who are getting indoctrinated in our public schools. We talk about CRT and all these other things. Those are not our issues. Our issues are we are indoctrinating kids that don't have a sound household. And so this bill is changing all of that, but this is a spiritual battle, and they cannot be fought with flesh and blood. You need a father, you need the order of God, and that is what this bill does. And that's why I'm so proud to be a Floridian. I'm so proud to be able to speak on these type of platforms, and I will continue to each and every day serve these kids, just like this is my son right here, but all of them are my son. I feed them the same way I feed my son. We pick them up to school and drop them off the same way. And this bill is just not about someone giving you some money. It's about calling all you dads out there and you moms to hold your husbands, your boyfriends, your sons, your fathers, hold them accountable because they need to be reaching out to some other kids. We got 18 1.6 million fatherless kids in this country. In the state of Florida, we got over 700,000 fatherless kids. We can't fix this problem with just this bill. We need to work with our hands like Jesus told us to do, serving the sick, touching the brokenhearted, and visiting those in prison. We must all be held accountable, and it starts today behind the leadership of this governor that I love. In Jesus' name, thank you.
Thanks, fellas. Great job. Well, thanks, Jack, for all you're doing. You can see it makes a difference. Okay, Glenn Gilzine from our Central Florida Urban League.
Wow. Wow, if you're not motivated, if you're not excited after that, I don't know. Well, good morning. My name is Glenn Gilzine. The ultimate goal of our organization, the Central Florida Urban League, is to end generational poverty. And as I stand before you today, I'm proud to say that House Bill 7065 represents that monumental step to realizing this goal. Together as a community, we're building the foundation via education to provide the resources and opportunity our young adults and fathers take the steps they need to uplift themselves out of this never-ending cycle. With this bill, the state will be providing nearly $70 million towards funding programs which will help two interconnected parts of our society. It will help our fathers become more self-sufficient, active, involved in their families' lives, while increasing support for youth in the justice system at the same time. So when both a father and a mother is present in the home, families are stronger. Some fathers receive support from this bill will come from job skills training. My organization is evident that higher skilled, higher paid jobs result in an improved financial situation, which alleviates a major burden on the family. Other fathers and will benefit from mentorship programs, as Jack just mentioned, and the mentors will provide self-esteem, giving fathers the confidence they need to develop into loving parents. Also, this bill is critical in supporting children aiding out of the justice system, and for these youth, it provides increased amount of education support available to ensure that they receive every opportunity to succeed. I truly believe that education is the solution to many who are face issues, I truly believe that education is the solution to many issues we face as a society. Education comes in many forms, but by empowering our fathers, our youth with the knowledge they need to better themselves and our community as a whole. I would like to close by thanking Governor DeSantis, House Speaker Sprouse, Senate President Simpson for their leadership on this bill. The hard work and dedication to our underserved communities will have a positive impact for generations to come. Thank you.
Okay, DJJ Secretary Eric Hall.
Good morning. So let me start. I want to thank the governor and I want to thank the First Lady for your dedicated commitment to Florida's children and families. I think this legislation helps to reinforce that commitment and really the leadership that you've been showing to support, again, transforming opportunities. I want to thank the Speaker and the legislature for bringing forward this legislation so that it really challenges us to see how we double down on supporting our young people. You know, with this legislation where we can provide supports for fathers, building their capacity today to help transform opportunities for their families, while also building the influential opportunity to transform future fathers and families, this is going to go a long way. So I look forward to being a partner with our colleagues at the Department of Children and Families and serving with Secretary Harris and her team so that we can implement this not just well, but implement it with urgency to help transform those opportunities in ways that this state is just, again, ready for, and it's going to create unbelievable opportunities. You know, listening to the stories earlier, I'm fired up because it challenges us to go back and do this work well. I will say this, at the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice, we serve on any given day about 28,000 youth. The great majority of those youth are in our local communities and doing unbelievable things. At the same time, we have some youth that have had some missed opportunities, and they're in our residential programs. And what we know about some of those trends is that roughly 80% of the youth who are in our residential programs are coming from families who have household incomes less than $35,000. This legislation is going to help empower fathers and build supports around them to strengthen their work and their opportunities for a credential and a career that helps move them into middle to high wage career opportunities, transforming some of those cycles. The kids in our residential programs, we also know that over half are coming from single-parent homes. And many of those same families have about 43% of those families, the kids are coming from homes where there has been family history of incarceration. We've heard that over and over this morning from our speakers and our colleagues and our supporters of this work. We can disrupt those cycles and change the trajectory of, again, of fathers today and families today, and preparing the families and fathers of tomorrow to do unbelievable things. And so, again, humbled and honored to be a part of this work. And I can tell you, as a father, and I have my kids here with me, it is the greatest gift in the world to see your children grow, excel, and achieve. And we want that for all fathers. We want that for all families because, again, it changes the trajectory of lives. It changes the trajectory to have upward mobility and self-sufficiency. And to me, I go back, and some of you heard me say this before, the best public safety strategy that we can have in our state is building the capacity of our young people with a high-quality education, opportunities into post-secondary education in our world-class, state colleges and university system. And we do that collectively by supporting our fathers. We're going to continue to lead the nation in so many ways because of work like this. So again, I'm humbled and proud to serve. Governor, thank you. Legislators, thank you for your leadership in this, and also our community partners that bleed this work day in and day out, supporting our young people. So thank you.
Well, this is important, and I think this is shows strong support from the state of Florida. Obviously, just this bill's not going to solve everything, but I think it can help, and I think empowering communities, empowering groups like you see with Tony Dungy or Jack Brewer, I think is going to make a real difference. There's a lot of issues that we deal with, but if you could snap your finger and just say you want one thing to happen, which government couldn't do, but if we just snapped our finger and every single child in Florida had both parents present, that would be revolutionary, and a lot of the problems we see as kids start to get older, you would see a dramatic decline. And so this has huge ramifications for someone's ability to be able to realize their God-given potential. And so we've shown our commitment. I think the state of Florida, to any dad out there who may not be engaged, we want to be able to support. We've got programs, we've got community groups and nonprofits that want to be there to help. And so we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're here showing the importance of this, but you've got to be willing to do the right thing and be present in your child's life. You're not a man by leaving your kids hung out to dry. You need to be there. It takes a lot of responsibility. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time and effort, but that is what we are called upon to do, and we want to make sure that every single kid in Florida has their father present. And if we can do that, I think it's going to be huge for the vitality of our communities now and into the future. So thanks everyone for being a part of this. Thanks to the legislature. Thanks to our nonprofit groups. It's an honor for me to be able to sign this. And this is the type of stuff that doesn't always get the headlines on a daily basis. But this is the type of stuff that is so meaningful in the lives of so many people that the ramifications are really significant. So God bless everybody. And I'd be happy to. Yes, ma'am. Off topic, I assume, right? Okay. Well, I do. I think Jimmy Boyd is here. Jimmy, do you want to say anything about it? I think, I told him, let's get the product together, and once we have something that will go, we got to go. So I absolutely support what Senator Brandes is doing. I think it's just a matter of, as you remember, it kind of fell apart at the end of the session. So we just want to make sure that we have a product that will pass muster and that we can get through. So I think what he's doing is the right thing, and we have we've got to be honest with people. We're in a big period of inflation, so all this stuff is going to go up. But on the property insurance in particular, clearly, we have dysfunctions in that market that could be fixed. You've already seen different insurers go out. We need to have a vibrant market where people are able to get policies at an affordable rate. So I thank him for what he's doing. I think we will get there. Jimmy, do you want to talk about any progress you're having?
Thank you, Governor. I would concur, and basically what the governor said is the case. We need to have a program that all of us can agree on, that most importantly saves Floridians money. It's out of control. We've got to get our arms around it and have to solve it for our constituents, and the governor's shown great leadership on this. We'll get there, I'm sure.
So stay tuned for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. When I was a lieutenant in the Navy, I was stationed at Naval Station Mayport, and I was involved in the Big Brother program. And so I had a youth from Jacksonville, and you know, his father was incarcerated, and so obviously there were things that happened that led to that. But even if the father wanted to be present, he was serving a sentence, and so we were able to do that. And I remember, like, when I first started doing it, you know, I was relatively new to the area, and I remember when I met my wife, she was a TV person, and so I remember bringing him to the studio. It was like this huge thing to see people on TV, and he had seen Casey on TV before, and so he was kind of, you know, starstruck with that. But what ended up happening is, you know, he ended up joining the Navy, and was doing very well. And so, you know, those are the types of things where you can make an impact. If not every kid has the option, obviously terrible things happen. Some fathers make bad decisions and ending up having to serve time. There's things that just happen in life, as we see. You know, life can be very fragile. You never know what's going to happen. So there's other reasons why a father might not be present. So if that isn't possible, those types of programs, you know, can make a real difference. And so it was something that I was able to do, you know, as a younger guy, and it's meaningful, and it's something that I would just encourage people. If you can be somebody who can be a mentor, or somebody that can be of assistance to somebody that doesn't have that father in the home, doing that is going to have huge benefits down the line. And, you know, I think a lot of people always want to know, like, how can I help? What can I do to help my community? You have such a great spirit throughout Florida of people. Sometimes they just don't know what would be the most effective. And there's a lot of great things to do, don't get me wrong. But that, being a mentor, being there for kids who need it, it makes a big difference.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be eligible now to get grants from this program. And so, and that's the thing. I mean, I think it's a really smart thing what they did. On the one hand, there would be some times where the legislature will actually just want to earmark money directly to a private group. The problem is like, okay, you're going to pay salaries for some group. It's like, well, shouldn't you be doing that? So sometimes we have to veto those. And actually, probably most of the times we do that just because it's getting us a little bit off kilter about what's government and what's private. But in a situation like this, we have the program. They can apply for grants, and they are already in this game, and they're going to be able to, I think, administer those funds more efficiently than if we ran it all through DCF or DJJ. And so I think it was a smart thing what they did to harness the good work that's already been done. And I think this will be effectively a force multiplier for a lot of these groups. And so whatever they've been able to do, which has been great, you know, they're now going to be able to do more going forward. Yes, sir. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Oh, we're happy to do it, I think. You know, I think it's, you know, we've really been committed to the idea that, you know, we want to empower parents with the ability to direct the education of their kids to the fullest extent possible.
And, you look at people, you go down certain neighborhoods here, very, very nice. They're going to be able to do it. Obviously those parents have choice. But if you talk about some of our low-income parents, you talk about, quite frankly, the absence of fathers. A lot of times you'll have single moms who are having to work and then also have to raise kids, and it's a tough juggling act. And they may not have the financial wherewithal to go to the school of their choice. And so this scholarship basically lifts them up and gives them the same choice that people who were maybe higher income would have. And I think that's been a great thing. I think it's encouraged entrepreneurship within the educational realm. I mean, you're talking about not just private schools. We've seen a lot of charter schools and that movement about doing things that are unique that a big school district just may not have the flexibility to do. And so parents can choose that or they cannot choose it. But I also think that the fact that Florida's a choice state has lifted up the school district's performance too. We were just ranked in the latest Education Week rankings #3 for K-12 achievement. I can tell you, I went to school right across the bay in Pinellas County, and Florida was not considered in the top at that time at all. And we've done a lot. And, I've been somebody that is really been supportive of school choice and empowering parents. But I also understand, because I went through, most people are going to go to their local school that's in the school district. So we've done things like have the largest teacher pay increases that we've seen in a generation in the state of Florida. We did $1,000 bonus for every principal and teacher in 2021. We had $800 million in teacher salary increases. Categorically in the budget this year, we've been able to expand apprenticeships, do things for workforce training. I mean, you look at some of these kids that get these skills. Walmart just is doing $110,000 for the starting truck drivers now. So we've been doing things like that to provide opportunities across the board. We're proud of what we've done with the speaker's leadership on early literacy. The fact of the matter is, if kids are reading at grade level by grade 3, the chance of them succeeding academically is very, very high. If they're deficient by grade 3, the chance of them dropping out, not performing up to standards, those chances increase dramatically. It's interesting. We have all these debates like you've seen recently about you got to be teaching kindergartners and first graders transgender, all this stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? We should be focusing on reading. We should be focusing on writing. We should be focusing on science and math and the key things that are going to be able to lift these kids up and let them realize their God-given potential. So we're proud of what we've done on early literacy. We want to make sure that the schools are equipped to be able to do. I know those books went out, right, with everything. So kids who can't afford are getting books sent to them. So we've done a lot on education, and a lot of it's on. And oh, by the way, our state university system's ranked #1 in the nation 5 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. And part of why I'm proud of that is because we don't let them raise tuition. So you actually can afford to go to the University of South Florida or University of Florida or all these other schools without going $100,000 in debt. And I think that's very important, because you have so many kids that were basically told, just get a piece of paper, go as deep into debt as possible, and the seas are going to part for you. Well, that hasn't happened over the last generation, and that's been a millstone, I think, around the necks of a lot of our young people. So, yes, higher education in addition to the trades and all that, but it's got to be affordable. It's got to be something that the family doesn't have to go into the poorhouse just to get somebody through 4 years of a university. And so we've been able to do that. We're doing more. There's a lot of good stuff in this year's budget that we'll be talking about. We also had some higher ed reforms, which I think will make the system even better. And I haven't gotten that bill yet, but there's a lot of positive things that I've seen in that. So we're doing really the whole 9 yards. But yes, if we can go in and help, particularly low income, and it's not even, it's usually a single mother, usually has multiple kids. Let's let her make the best decision that she can, and not just say this is all you get. And I think when you empower people, you end up getting kids in the best school for them, and I think the results are better. And also, when you guys are able to be more innovative, some of the stuff is kind of the X's and O's of what academics is all about. For sure, it's important. But you have the ability to talk about God and character and things that really serve as the foundation of these young people. And there's parents that want that that foundation for their kids. But if you don't make enough money, what? You just don't have options? No, in Florida, we're saying you have the options to do that. And so I think that overall mission is lifting people up. And I think we've really been the model across the country for what it means to meaningfully stand by parents, meaningfully empower parents, and then in the process, create an educational system that's performing, much better than it would have without those meaningful supports and choice. Okay, everybody.